Good evening. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome to the first Madison City Advisory Committee meeting. And we're going to begin the meeting with a roll call. I'm sorry. My name is Lisa Thomas, and I'm the city clerk for the city of Madison. Mr. Potts?
Here.
Mr. Broder?
I'm here.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Goodson?
Here.
Mr. Fletcher?
Here.
Mr. Kraft?
Here.
Ms. Cologne Franz?
Here.
Mr. Brackett? Mr. Highsmith?
Here.
Mr. Sharma?
Here.
Next up, we have a prayer from Jason Cole, our IT director.
Please. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this opportunity to join, just time to get together to make our city better. Lord, we thank you so much for these citizens who have stepped up to help us bridge a gap in communication. Father, we just pray for wisdom. We pray that they'll do the right thing when it's not the easy thing. God, I pray that you'll please just be with everybody that they represent, that you'll just help them to take this responsibility and do it well, and do it in a way that will be pleasing in your sight. That we pray.
First, I'd like to ask, are there any changes to the agenda as written? If no, signify.
No, they're not.
Thank you. I would like to open the floor. We're going to elect a chair for the committee. So the floor is open for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Mark Highsmith for the position of chair.
Any other nominations? So be it. We have Mr. Highsmith nominated as chair. All in favor signify by a verbal vote.
Aye.
Votes accepted. Mr. Highsmith, you're nominated as the chairman of this committee.
Thank you.
Now turn the floor over to you.
Well, thank you very much. At this time, I would like to open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Billy Goodson for vice chair.
Is there a second?
I'll second that nomination.
I'd also like to nominate Sarah for vice chair.
I second that nomination.
Are there any other nominations? Nominations are closed. At this point, we will do roll call vote, starting with Billy Goodson. So if we could.
All in favor of Mr. Goodson? Let's do a roll call vote, please. Just a second. Okay, Mr. Goodson? Mr. Potts?
Aye.
Ms. Broder?
No.
Mr. Goodson?
No.
Mr. Fletcher?
No.
Mr. Kraft?
Aye.
Ms. Franz?
No.
Mr. Brackett? Mr. Highsmith?
No.
Mr. Sharma?
No.
Now we'll do a roll call vote for Ms. Broder. Mr. Potts?
Aye.
Ms. Broder?
Yes.
Mr. Goodson?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft?
Vote twice. Aye.
This is for Sarah. Ms. Franz?
Yes.
Mr. Brackett, Mr. Highsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Shauna,
Yes.
And go back to,
Vote Fletcher.
Mr. Fletcher,
yes.
At this time, we will open up the floor for nominations for secretary. Are there any nominations?
Nominate Rebecca.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. We'd like to open. Are there any other nominations? If there's no other nominations, by acclamation, you are the secretary.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to move into new business. We're going to start with, we're going to talk briefly, I'll talk briefly about our committee training recap. So the committee was put together back in April, actually, and many of us, there were over, if I'm not mistaken, 60 to 80 people from across the district that actually wanted to be a part of this committee. Which says a lot about the city of Madison and the people who are concerned about things going on in Madison. So as we came together, we had several training sessions in which we were able to not only learn about what's going on in the city, but also got to work with each other very briefly as we went through some of the training. Some of the training, I'll go over that briefly so you can have an idea, some background. Of course, we were welcomed by our leadership, the mayor and council liaison, Denzine. Thank you for coming out tonight. This is one of the things that she had on her list of things that would like to see happen in our community, and she was more than gracious, as well as Mayor Finley, welcoming us, excuse me, I can't get it out, welcoming us to be a part of this community. Then we got an overview that talked about some of the basic organization of Madison Police Department, its values, the services, and some of the processes it takes to become a police officer here in Madison. We had another session later on in the month of June where we talked more about how this committee structure would look like, how it can look like. We also got a lot of information from legal as we talked about some general legal topics, understanding the network and the oversight that the Madison Police Department has. And then one of the things that was also very important is understanding the Open Meetings Act, as well as some of the procedures and how public records are also will be taken as well. Next, we moved into some more very specific policies and procedures dealing with the Madison Police procedures, focusing on investigations, CALEA certification, some of the professional standards that not all our Madison police officers are held to, and then discussing some of the basic topics that we were trying to get a better understanding of, to include things such as search and seizure, investigative stops, body cameras, to name a few. Next, we were fortunate enough to have a session on criminal and civil procedures. So we had attorneys come in to talk to us through how the criminal and court procedures happen here in the city of Madison. And that was done by the district attorney's office. And we also had civil practice, constitutional, and civil rights procedures that was presented by David Kaplan of Linear, Ford, Schaefer, and Payne. So a lot of quality information. And then from there, I think was also one of the highlights was all of us had the opportunity to attend a roll call with our Madison Police Department as they prepared for their shifts as they got ready to go out to protect and serve our community. And then many of us also had the opportunity to also participate in ride along. So we got to sit right next to those officers and go out for at least an 8-hour period, being able to see our officers and our men and women in action as they protect and look over our community. And then to top that off, as we all know, we received a new police chief. So we were able to work with Major Stringer as before he left, but then we also had an opportunity to meet with Police Chief Gandy, and he talked us through his vision, He talked us through the interaction, and one of the great things about it is Police Chief Gandy has worked with committees, with a committee very similar to this at his time in Virginia Beach. So he was able to give us some guidance, not so much of what to do, but just some things as he had seen, so we could take that in and utilize that as we move forward. So at this time, what I would like to do is let the committee introduce themselves and kind of talk to you just briefly about who they are and what drove them to want to participate in this committee. And we'll start with District 1.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. My name is Curtis Potts, and I've lived in Madison for 12 years. 29-year active duty veteran, and coming out of the Army, then I moved to Madison. About a year into living here at Madison, I spent a year in leadership with the Chief of Police, and we hatched this idea of forming a Madison Police Department Reserve Force. So that was 11 years ago, and I had the opportunity to lead that force for 9 years. So I really got a good appreciation of what our police officers go through every single day and what they do in their shifts and how they really protect and serve our community. So as I left that a couple of years ago, this opportunity arose, and I thought this would be good for me to continue giving back to the community, continue serving my community with an understanding of perhaps both sides of the fence now, and see how I could help enhance communication and understanding between our citizens and the police department. And that about sums it up, sir.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate you. Next, we'll go to District 2.
Thank you. My name is Sarah Browder. My partner Jeff and I have lived in Madison City for about 10 years. I have an educational background in political science and public policy, public administration. I work as a senior consultant for a diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting group, and I'm very passionate about equality and human rights. While studying public policy, I chose to focus my capstone research on police and community relations. I was inspired to learn more on this subject due to the death of George Floyd and the reaction from the country. The history on the subject is complicated, but there's much to be learned from it. My goal for the committee is to use knowledge of the past to promote a better future. This includes establishing positive relationships between Madison Police Department and the community, providing evidence-based recommendations that reflect concerns and issues voiced by community members and police officers, facilitating constructive, open dialogue by providing a safe space where community members and police officers can share concerns, perceptions, and experiences, and promoting transparency to increase public awareness on the roles and responsibilities of the police department.
Thank you. Thank you. Great job. Next, we'll go to District 3, which is Bill.
My name is Billy Goodson. We moved to Madison in 2016. My wife and I, we live in the historic district. It's what brought us here. My joke is we came here in 2014 for the tour of homes and decided to never leave. So we moved from the other side of Huntsville. We lived over off of Winchester Road, so we moved there in 2008. I've also served in the National Guard and Army Reserve back when I was younger. Susan and I, after getting married, we have 4 daughters, 10 grandchildren, so things that I'm passionate about are soccer, dog rescue, historic homes, and also community relations. When I looked at the opportunity to serve on this committee, it was seeing it as a vital area, one of the most used. Frank and I were actually joking about this because it was a comment that the chief made recently, that the police department is one of the major points of contact, both in so many different ways. The services that the police department provides is vast. A lot of us, I wasn't even aware of all the services they provide. And I think effective service by the police force to the community that it serves is one of the most important things that the government can be responsible for. So being able to participate in that process to me was just a good way to meld a lot of my personal interest and also just a desire to serve the community. So I like the way that Mark puts it. He talks about being a bridge, and I think that's really what we're here for. We're citizens who live and work and thrive in this community. So our idea is to take and look at what is impacting the community, what is the police force doing, what could they do better. We think we're served by just a phenomenal police force already. And the thing is the only way that you are that good is by trying to be better every day. And being able to serve on this committee, I think, is a way to help in that process.
Thanks, Billy. Next, we have District 4, Frank.
Good evening, thanks. I'm Franklin Fletcher. I was born and reared here in Madison. I'm 72 years old, and I've lived here during my childhood. When I went away to the military, I came back here. So I've always lived here and worked in Decatur for 30 years. I'm retired. My wife Betty, she's also retired, and we both kind of do community type service. I work with the Community Action Partnership. I'm also the chairperson for Community Action Partnership here in Madison now. And when this opportunity came about, I kind of thought about it, and from the very start, I kind of said, nah, I don't want to get involved in that. But then when I stopped and I thought about it, I said, yes, I need to be involved in that because it involves citizens of Madison. So that's why I decided to join, put my name in the hat to be a part of this Madison Police Citizens Organization. So when we think about it and we look at things, and after I did a ride along, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And as Chief Yandy said, normally the police is always the first to respond. When nobody else responds, the police always respond. I don't care what it is, if it's to get a cat out of a tree, or you got a dog that went under the house, or you got a child who has gotten his head caught into a, sometimes kids have freak accidents where they get their head caught into between stairs and stuff. But anytime anything come up, it's always the police who responded. So I thought that if I could just be a part of that organization and help our community to better understand what policemen do on a day-to-day basis and be transparent in their doing, then it will be worth my time as a member of the Madison Police Citizen Advisory Board. And that's basically what I see that we can do together, and the people that we have come in contact and met, we all kind of, in some way, we are all aiming at the same goal and hopefully having the same ending and culminated at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Next, we'll move to District 5. Dwayne.
So I jokingly told my wife tonight that I was voluntold by Renee Bartlett that I was going to do this. But I welcome the opportunity. I am a career educator. I've been in Madison. I taught at Bob Jones High School for 28 years. I've since then left Madison, or left Bob Jones High School, but I moved my family here in 2016, a house over off Highland Drive, because I know the quality of this community. And I know the quality of policing. I know the quality of safety and security that we have here. It's not something to be taken for granted. My goal is to ensure that we never have a George Floyd incident in our community. and that our police officers are never put in the position to have to defend their actions by influencing policy. I'm concerned about the officers that are out there defending me and my two kids. I really think that by helping shape policy that we can protect these police officers from incidents like that and protect them from being in that issue. I also really want to echo what Sarah said about equity, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Helping our police officers to see some of those issues up front before they deal with the public is something that I think will be fundamental in helping them stay out of those kinds of situations. Ultimately, I'm hoping that I do a servant leadership role on this board to help, shape how our community deals with police issues. I think that our police force is second to none. I got to speak to that a bit. But truthfully, I think they're second to none. These are the best police officers ever. Basically, I'm hoping to serve as a servant leader to the committee and to the police force and help shape policy in a way that protects our police officers. Thank you.
Thanks, Joy. Next, we'll move to District 6.
Hi, my name is Rebecca. I was a police officer in Florida before I joined the Army, and that's where I met and married my husband, Aaron. We have two boys. One has graduated from high school from Bob Jones, and one is attending Discovery right now. We've lived in Madison for about 10 years and have been very active within this community. My goals for joining this committee is I want to give the community a voice and a means for all to express themselves comfortably. We are all equal, no matter our beliefs or the color of our skin. I also want to help everyone to understand the enormous and oftentimes dangerous responsibilities police officers deal with on a daily basis and also in the evenings. I'm pushing for open and honest dialogue for them as well. They need to feel that we support them just as much as we're going to support our community and what they want to say and advocate for through us. Excuse me. We all need to learn to work together. Everyone's needs and desires are very similar. I'm sure you'd be surprised. Thank you, and I look forward to working with this committee, and I also look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. Next, I'll move over to myself. First of all, this is just a wonderful opportunity. I'll start off correctly. My name is Mark Heisman. I am a veteran of 21 years and some days of the United States Army. I retired here in the wonderful city of Madison. I'll be honest, I didn't know anything about it until about 6 or 7 years ago when I was deployed somewhere and they said, this is where you're going. But I will tell you, I came here and it's been the best kept secret that I can honestly say of probably all my assignments over 21 years. You have people here that actually care, and that means a lot when you really, really want to be involved and a part of your community. With that, more formally, I have a degree in criminal justice, so I grew up, my father was a military police officer in the United States Army, so I've been around, grew up in Leavenworth, Kansas, which is, for many of you know, that is the home of all prisons. So working with and dealing in that area and being around it is nothing at all new to me. And working with people who put their lives on the line every day also is nothing new to me. I think it's very important, though, the reason why I wanted to be a part of this committee is for many years I've traveled all over and I've never had opportunity or been wanting the opportunity for my place that I can call home. And once you're in that place you call home, one of the things that's very important are the people that are your neighbors, your neighborhood, and then how that's protected and how safe you feel. We're very fortunate, in my opinion, that we have some of the best officers that are looking out for our best interests, day in and day out. But what can we do to be better? That's one of the things that I want to be here for. I want to be part of and I'm fortunate enough to have 8 other people that have that same vision that we want to make Madison better. I'll start off by saying, again, I have to say this all the time, there's nothing wrong with Madison. But why can't we be number one? Why can't we be number one? Why can't we be what the role model is for the rest of the country? So people looking at, that's right, Madison, Alabama, and figure out what they did to bring all the people together. And I think the only way we can do that is a committee like this of willing volunteers to want to help create a bridge for everyone to walk across. That's for our officers to be able to walk across, and that's for our citizens to feel comfortable as well walking across. And the only way we do that is one conversation at a time, one person at a time. And I'm just happy that we have 8 other people that, believe it or not, we don't all agree. And believe it or not, we don't see everything the same, which is great, because that's what our community is. It's diverse. There's a lot of people that see things differently. But if we, these 9 people, can come together and work together to help build that bridge, then I know the city of Madison will be more than happy to walk across that bridge and make Madison what it should be. The number one wanting place to be, even though right now I can't find a place to live, but the place where everyone wants to go because of how everyone is treated and how they feel they are as a community as a whole. So that's all I have. We'll move over to Raj.
Good evening. My name is Rajiv Sharma. I'm a resident of Madison for the last 15 years. I have a daughter at Bob Jones High School. I'm originally from India. My reasons to be here is, again, I want to serve the community. I love Madison. It's a great place to live. Everywhere I go, I always brag about this city. So anything I could do to help make this city a better place to live, I'm all for that. And I just want to, again, echo what everybody else has said. I want to, help build a bridge between the citizens and the police. And specifically, I want to take that a step further. As many of you all know, there's about 86 to 89 languages spoken in Madison. There's a lot of foreign nationalities here. And many people come from countries actually where they're trained to actually fear the police. That, they don't view, police are viewed with a lot of brutality in many countries. So I want to kind of help bring some cultural awareness here so that, so that we can all kind of be on one team. So that anybody, no matter where they come from, they should be able to, reach out to the police. In times of need, there should not be any fear. They should see them as friends, as someone they can trust. So here, kind of help build a bridge between our international community and the police.
Thank you, Raj. At this time, we would like to move forward with the adoption of our bylaws.
I move to accept resolution 2021-001R.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to the adoption of resolution 2021-001-R. Is there any discussion? Those are our bylaws that will govern the committee.
I would like to thank the city attorney for helping to shape these. Such a fantastic job.
Any other discussion? Now we'll move over to a roll call vote.
Ms. Broder?
Yes.
Mr. Fletcher?
Accept.
Mr. Potts?
Aye.
Mr. Goodson?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft?
Aye.
Ms. Cologne Franz?
Aye.
Mr. Brackett? Mr. Highsmith,
Aye.
Mr. Sharma.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, briefly, we would like to discuss our next upcoming meeting. I think before, if you look through the bylaws that we just accepted, we will meet monthly. We were looking at the 4th week of the month. We had talked about before, this meeting currently, as well know, is on a Wednesday, but we think that there could be some conflicts there. So at this time, I would like to open up for discussion so we can discuss the next meeting time for the last week of October. The 3rd or the 4th week of October, whichever one we prefer. Any discussion?
I would like to suggest that we use the 3rd week of each month because of holidays that are coming up, November, Christmas, December, so just so that there be less conflicts in order for us to be able to meet each 3rd week of the month.
I would like to suggest that perhaps we start at 7 instead of 6. Traffic is brutal on Madison Pike, 36 blocks. So I barely made it. I would like to suggest a 7 p.m.
And I would also like, for us, rather than meet on a Wednesday, that we, meet on another day other than Wednesday.
So, Mark, from a standpoint of nights for the meeting, I guess. I know city council meets Monday and you guys have planning some Mondays, right?
Planning commission is typically on Thursdays, always on Thursdays. And zoning board is on Thursdays too.
So the one night I haven't heard mentioned is Tuesday, right? Is that a fairly open day?
Yes. What about Tuesday, October 19th? Or the next Tuesday, 26th?
Twenty-six. So now it's, we're looking at October 26th. It's between 6 and 7. We have someone who would prefer 7. Can we get 7 or 6:30?
The range, do it at 6:30?
Yeah, just work the track.
Yeah.
6:30? So can someone make a motion?
Motion that we meet on October 26th at 6:30.
I second.
So it's been moved and properly second to have our next meeting, October 26th at 6:30 p.m. in the same location. Is there any discussion?
Just want to perhaps bring up that we don't always have to meet here. Maybe we could also meet within the community so that we can reach out more to the community. Just a suggestion. I'm not really sure. I don't have anything specific in mind, but I just thought it would be good if we could actually try to move out into the community instead of always being here.
I was going to suggest that I agree with her. Having been an educator for 28 years, I think that we can utilize both Bob Jones and James Clemens' occasion to host these meetings. I think it's healthy for the students to see us meet in the community. I think it's healthy for the schools to be involved. A big part of Madison is the schools. I didn't move my kids into Madison knowing I was going to retire because I just wanted to live in Madison and pay extra. But I'm moving them because I know the schools do. I watch our SROs and what they deal with on a daily basis. So it might bolster them to occasionally have these meetings with either James Clemens or Bob Jones if they're available.
Okay.
As staff, we can take a
look at whether either of those locations are available, and then we could just default to City Hall if we can't make it work this time. Does that sound okay?
You had something?
Yeah, I guess, Mark, just as a question, and I guess this would be an amendment to the motion, because right now there's a motion that the next meeting be on Tuesday, the 26th of October at 6:30 p.m. And I guess I'm just wondering, of an amendment to that motion to set the rhythm of the meeting to be what looks like the fourth Tuesday at 6:30, and then we're done. Or do we want to allow for still a variance that, because if we set this one, we're going to have to set the next one after that. So just wondering if that would be a good amendment to consider.
So I think what I hear you saying, Billy, and then I'll lead you to maybe a friendly amendment, is if you, of sticking to the fourth Tuesday, 6:30 is what I think you're saying.
Yes, sir.
So would you like to make a friendly amendment?
Yes. I'd like to offer that as a friendly amendment.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I forgot who made the motion?
I second it.
Well, I think
Franklin made the motion.
Yeah.
Mr. Craddock, he would have to accept your friendly amendment?
I accept.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and restate the motion on the floor. The current motion on the floor is to meet October 26th, which is our next scheduled meeting at 6:30, but to move future meetings to the fourth Tuesday of the month, roughly 6:30, and with that also looking at the locations and publicizing the locations if we choose to move, with the default location being City Hall. Is that correct? Is that motion correct?
That's correct. And I think we have a requirement to publish our meeting.
Yes.
Yes, we
You
do.
know, so
At least a week prior.
Thanks. We'll summarize.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Yes.
I just wanted to point out that for the fourth Tuesday in November, that happens to fall during Thanksgiving break. And so maybe we can add another, amendment, stating that if there's a conflict with the week that we would normally meet, say holiday or vacation time, something like that, that we could meet the week prior. I don't know how you would word that, but.
Word it just like you said.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Poor Mark.
Now, I'm trying to think what would be the easiest way to do this. Would it be easier to just strike the motion, come back, and just restate a new motion? So, because otherwise we got we can still do another friendly amendment, but it would probably be somewhat easier. But I think I got it. So, are you making a motion then?
Yes, I'm making the motion to approve.
Flexibility for those weeks acting holidays.
Okay. And Wayne,
I accept.
okay. Wow. We're doing parliamentary procedure for real tonight. I'm just letting you guys know. This is Robert's Rule Advanced.
Good practice.
Okay.
Those keeping score at home.
Yes. So and it was accepted. The motion on the current motion on the floor is that we will meet the fourth Tuesday of every month at 6:30. The default location is City Hall, with the understanding that if holidays or something, they have the flexibility to move those meetings if holidays or something falls into that. Is that correct? Is there any other discussion? Can we move to a roll call vote, please?
I would like to verify that Mr. Fletcher seconded this motion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good call, Lisa. Thank you.
Mr. Kraft,
Aye.
Mr. Fletcher,
Aye.
Mr. Highsmith,
Aye.
Mr. Sherman,
Aye.
Mr. Brackett? I'm sorry, Ms. Brackett. Ms. Cologne Franz?
Aye.
Ms. Broder?
Aye.
Mr. Potts?
Aye.
Mr. Goodson?
Motion passes. Okay, at this time, what we are going to do is we're about to adjourn.
One quick question, did you guys want to talk about the meeting topic for next time? You don't have to make a motion or a second or anything to establish the topic.
I believe one of the things that was being considered is mental health, and perhaps having or inviting the police officers that are certified to deal with mental health individuals, and procedures that go along with that. If we could, we'll probably have to work out inviting them here, and perhaps maybe somebody from the Nova Center, or not Nova Center, I'm sorry, what is it? Wellstone, thank you, the Wellstone, and see if we can have somebody from them come and represent and talk about the procedures as far as what they do.
Okay. So what I think we can do is we'll as a committee, we'll take some actions to see if we can, and working with Megan and others to be able to make those connections and see if we can get those locked in for that meeting. With the topic being mental health, our mental health professionals and the roles it has with the interactions.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second to adjourn this meeting. Is there any discussion? We'll go by a roll call vote. Do we not have to? Wonderful. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and close the meeting down. The purpose now, what we have is we're going to spread out. We've set aside a variety of areas for each person in the district that they represent. If you're here from that district, they are more than happy to want to hear any of your concerns or thoughts. Because this helps us to be able to put together what are the areas in which we want to go and look after or look into. So your input is very much appreciated. At this time, I think it goes around the room. I think we start over here with District 1, and we go all the way around to District 7. So at this point, thank you for your attendance. We'll see you later. Appreciate it. Meeting is adjourned.